Has the PS4 Pro been a success? That's what we're going to be looking at today. Many of you have subbed from two of my other popular videos that surrounded the PS4 Pro, so I feel it's due time for another. The PS4 Pro has been out for a little while now, just over 6 months in fact, and I feel it's about time to see how it's doing so far, especially when Microsoft's official Scorpio announcement is around the corner at E3, which could potentially put a spanner in the works for Sony. So originally the PS4 Pro went under the codename Neo for a long time, teased as a 4K premium product PS4 that would be able to play PS4 games in 4K, and that's pretty much what we got. A console that's 2 times as powerful as a normal PS4, capable of 4K resolutions, although granted the Pro can't handle most games at a true native 4K. Most play at upscaled 4K, usually sitting around 1440p or 1800p, but a number do run at 4K native, which we'll discuss a little later. And lastly, HDR, which is a great feature, but normal PS4s were patched to allow HDR also. There are games that haven't come with any Pro enhancements at all, such as Persona 5, which would have been a fairly easy game to push to higher resolutions, considering it's effectively a PS3 game ported to the PS4 and would have made the art style shine even more. Or very recently, Prey, which based on Digital Foundry's findings has no enhancements at all. There are games that have enhancements in some capacity but don't really take advantage of what it's capable of, such as Overwatch, which is indeed a fantastic game. However, its Pro patch is very basic, introducing some better texture filtering, a 4K HUD, but no performance changes, HDR or increased resolution, and could certainly do more. In an ideal world, Sony would enforce that all games have enhancements or additions on the Pro, however that could easily alienate many developers. With that said, I expect support to not only grow but also get better as time goes on, as we're already seeing. There are games however that have made use of the Pro's extra power very well. Horizon Zero Dawn undoubtedly being easily the best, a visual eyegasm that really needs to be seen in person to be appreciated. Other games like Final Fantasy 15, Ratchet & Clank, Rise of the Tomb Raider and Battlefield 1 are great examples of games that really shine. The Pro also breathes new life into games that released before it launched, such as Uncharted 4, Infamous Second Son, Shadow of Mordor and The Last of Us, with the last two running at a native 4K, which is certainly nice to see. The biggest criticisms of the Pro is that of course it cannot provide native 4K and give games 60 frames per second for the majority of cases, which is what Microsoft is touting for the Scorpio at the moment, and what many hoped the Pro would be able to achieve. To give a very recent example, many were hoping Destiny 2 would be 60 frames per second on the Pro, although it will be running at a resolution of over 1080p, many are disappointed it's not able to handle more. This has left many people wondering how worthwhile a PS4 Pro is, and whether the differences warrant additional purchases of a new console and expensive 4K TV. With that said, a 4K TV isn't essential. Many argue a Pro is worth it even if you only own a 1080p TV, because of the performance increase, especially since now all games can take advantage of boost mode, meaning a Pro patch isn't necessary to get at least some FPS gains, and super sampling, meaning games look much cleaner with much better anti-aliasing. Before owning a 4K TV, I certainly noticed the image difference on a 1080p TV. The PS4 Pro did launch at a pretty good price of $400 or £350 in the UK, which is the exact same price the original PS4 launched at. Many expected it to be much higher, which was a good move by Sony, and largely down to the fact they didn't make it a native 4K device, as it would have been a lot more expensive. If Sony can announce a price drop for the Pro at E3 and Project Scorpio comes in at a high price point, even though it might be a lot more powerful, I believe price point will still sway consumers a lot even if the Pro is no longer the king of power for consoles. Judging whether the Pro has been a success is a really difficult thing, not just from a gamer's perspective but also from a sales point of view. I tried researching into figures and really couldn't find anything up to date or concrete, but even if I had, you really don't have much to compare it to, as judging it against the standard PS4 and Xbox One wouldn't have been a good comparison for several reasons. Sony are very vocal about the PS4's massive sales, however have been pretty quiet on figures for the Pro, which could be possibly telling of a less than expected sales total that they don't want to announce. One news article I came across from February from Video Games 24/7 posted an article called PS4 Pro sales are stronger than that of the PS4 Slim, says Sony CFO, which would suggest the Pro is selling very well, however I've seen other sources claim the opposite. From a gamer's perspective, it really depends on your personal opinion. When you factor in the cost of the Pro, a high-end 4K TV that can really take advantage of HDR, high color gamut and deep black levels, the cost seems like an awful lot for what in many scenarios may seem like not a huge difference from the standard game versions. However, if you already own a 4K TV, you could argue the cost of a Pro, if you have the money, isn't much for the additional power and visual upgrade. So honestly, it's incredibly hard to say even after 6 months, but what will determine its success is how it compares to the Scorpio, or has a console in direct competition with it, and which one gamers gravitate towards the most, which, considering the Pro's lead and PS4's general market dominance, Scorpio has a tough battle ahead. To those of you who have bought a Pro, 6 months down the line, are you enjoying it or have you regretted your purchase and why? I personally don't regret my purchase at all and have been impressed by the results, especially from certain titles. Love or hate the Pro, there's one thing for certain, and that these mid-generation console hardware improvements aren't going anywhere anytime soon. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like the video, be sure to leave a like and sub, as well as follow Project Gamer on Twitter for channel updates. Click the link on the left for a video on games that take advantage of the PS4 Pro best, and the one on the right for 5 great 4K TVs for the Pro. Thanks for watching as usual, and I'll see you on the next video.